All right, let's jump right in. We're going to look at the first 5 books of the Bible, but not as some dusty old history book. Nope. We're going to see them as a practical, timeless guide for building a meaningful life. And we're drawing on some brilliant insights from Eugene Peterson to see how these ancient stories really give us a blueprint, one that's incredibly relevant even right now. Okay, let's get into this.
It all really boils down to one huge question, one that I think we all ask ourselves at some point. How do you build a life that actually lasts? A life that has real substance, one that's not just going to fall apart when things get tough.
Well, these ancient texts, they give us this powerful picture. You've got two options, really. You can build on sand, and it doesn't matter how great it looks, it's basically a house of cards. It's just going to fall to pieces. Or you can build on rock, on a foundation that's solid, true, and here's the key, it's already there. And these first 5 books, they're all about showing us where to find that rock.
So where do we even begin? Well, the first book, Genesis, it lays that unshakable foundation. It makes one thing crystal clear. Before anything else, before our plans, our worries, our big ambitions, it all starts with God.
And the emphasis here is just so powerful. Peterson puts it perfectly. First, God. See, this isn't God as some kind of afterthought or a Sunday-only thing. Genesis puts God right at the absolute center and, the circumference of all reality. Everything else, literally everything, gets its meaning from that one starting point.
So here's the really crucial part. This foundation isn't something we have to go out and invent for ourselves. It's given. It's already in place. It's made up of these massive realities: God's creative power, his actions in the world, his invitation to us, and his promises. We don't build the foundation, we just build on it.
And listen, this isn't some dry, abstract philosophy class. Genesis makes all of this incredibly real through stories of people who are just like us. I mean, people who loved and messed up, who had moments of incredible faith and moments of serious doubt. We can see ourselves in their stories, which shows us that God works with us right where we are. Okay, so once that foundation is down, the story immediately pivots to this epic rescue. The book of Exodus shows us a people who are in deep trouble, and God's dramatic plan to pull them right out of the muck. The big theme here is salvation, and this definition just nails it. It's God doing for us what we absolutely cannot do for ourselves. It's the biggest word in the whole story, probably because it's the biggest need we have. Now, Exodus kind of unfolds in 2 big parts. First, you get this gripping, can't-put-it-down story of the rescue itself, slavery to freedom. But that's only half the story. The second part is just as important. It's all the detailed instructions on how to actually live as a free people. Because, getting free is one thing, but learning how to stay free, that's a whole other ballgame.
And that brings us to a book that, let's be honest, a lot of people find kind of intimidating: Leviticus. But think of it this way. If Exodus is the rescue, Leviticus is the detailed blueprint for the new house. It's the how-to manual for a completely new way of living.
This quote, wow, it gets right to the heart of why Leviticus is so important. We are always trying to shrink God down, right? To make him manageable, to make him fit into our little boxes. Well, Leviticus is the great corrective. It teaches us how to fit into his world. You can almost think of it as a necessary pause in the story, a big timeout. The people have been rescued, sure, but before they can move forward, they need this deep dive instruction. They need some serious training on how to live in God's presence, on how to be holy in a world that doesn't even have a word for it. And here's the thing about holiness. It's not about some mystical, floaty experience. It's about your everyday, totally ordinary life. We're talking about sleeping, eating, going to work, all of it. The idea is that every single part of your life matters and is meant to be part of this relationship with God. So we've got the foundation, the rescue, and the blueprints. What's next? Well, the actual messy work of construction. And the book of Numbers shows us the gritty reality that building a community with other flawed human beings is just incredibly hard. So many of us have this picture-perfect, romantic idea of community, right? Where everyone just gets along all the time. Numbers comes along and just shatters that illusion. It throws us headfirst into the long, complicated, messy business of people trying and, let's face it, often failing, to grow up together. And it does not sugarcoat a thing. I mean, look at this list. The people in this story are profoundly human. They quarrel, they bicker, they grumble, they rebel.
The Bible is just so refreshingly honest about the raw material God has to work with, which is, you know, us.
So how does a community like this even survive? It takes a lot more than just good intentions. It takes practical stuff. Things as boring as organizational help, real strategies for getting along, and wise discipline for when things go wrong. Numbers is full of these practical, not so romantic details.
And this all leads us to the grand finale, Deuteronomy. After the foundation, the rescue, the blueprints, and all that messy construction, this is like the wise old foreman gathering everyone for one last, powerful speech before they finally move in.
And the setting for this is it's packed with emotion. Just think about it for a second. This is Moses. He started out as a baby whose life was in danger. He has led these incredibly difficult people for 40 years in the desert. And now he's 120 years old, standing right at the edge of the promised land, a land he'll never get to enter himself. And he delivers this one last massive sermon.
So what's the whole point of this gigantic speech? Well, it has one very clear goal: to take everything that's happened, all the stories, all the laws, all the failures, and make them feel intensely present. To pull all of that history into a single urgent moment, right now. And the way Moses does this is so simple but so brilliant. He just keeps repeating one single powerful word: today. This isn't about what God did way back then. It's about what are you going to do? Who are you going to be today? The entire story is slammed into the present tense with this incredible urgency. So there it is, the whole journey. Genesis sets the foundation. Exodus is the great rescue. Leviticus gives us the blueprints. Numbers shows us the messy reality of construction. And Deuteronomy is that final challenge. Okay, the house is built. Now, it's time to live in it.
And that brings that very first question all the way back around to us. But now it has so much more weight, doesn't it? It's not just some abstract idea anymore. With this entire epic story as our guide, the urgent question is still right there in front of us. What will you build today?